It is now 8 o'clock in the East, and polls across the great state of Florida are now closed. NBC News can project that Mitt Romney will win the Florida Republican presidential primary. Newt Gingrich is a distant second. Rick Santorum will finish third tonight in Florida, and Ron Paul will finish fourth. Let's go back down to Chris Matthews in Miami. Chris, not a great surprise to see Mr. Romney winning this. Mr. Gingrich being characterized by NBC News as a distant second. What do you think the importance of this is overall?
Well, I think the headlines are the same as we thought would have been written 2 or 3 weeks back, but everything below the headline is different. The idea was that Romney would win in South Carolina, wrap it up down here in Florida, the most decisive state. It turns out he didn't win in South Carolina, and he won down here, I would say, in the worst way, by basically a Dresden bombing of his opponent, not by selling himself. He has not sold himself to the Republican electorate down here or across the country. The battle remains ahead. Newt Gingrich isn't going to quit. So the headline remains as we predicted weeks ago, but everything below that is different. This campaign is not over. It perhaps is just beginning.
Chris, thank you. U.S. Congressman Tom Rooney is the honorary co-chairman of Mitt Romney's Florida campaign. He joins us now from Florida. Mr. Rooney. Do we have Mr. Rooney? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. Congratulations tonight on your candidate's win. My question for you is a basic one, which is whether or not you see this as the start of the general election now, or whether or not you still have a nomination to win here.
Well, I mean, you don't want to, count a win before you have it. But certainly, if you remember back in the last election when McCain won Florida, that was really the beginning of the end of the other candidates, and he was well on his way to the nomination. So this is a big deal, especially since it's winner take all.
In terms of the overall strategy, you may have just heard Chris Matthews, my colleague here from Hardball, describe Mr. Romney's win substantively in Florida as having been a win in the worst way, it being essentially a carpet bombing campaign that was all negative about his opponents. 0.1% of the ads run in the past week were positive on behalf of Mr. Romney. Is that the template moving forward? Is this scorched earth going forward in order to clear the decks of his rival contenders?
I don't know if it's scorched earth, but it's certainly something that, this is a full contact sport. We expect that Romney will not leave anything in the locker room and do everything that we as surrogates and people that are supporting him expect him to do. The last thing that I wanted to see is a supporter of Romney in Florida come out and kind of have a weak performance and say, where is the organization and where is the machine, so to speak? And we saw it, and I think that, it was fully effective. As I don't know if you've got the final numbers yet, but, we're looking at maybe 50% of the vote here. So that's what people that are supporting Romney want to see. And in the end, I think that people that don't support Romney are going to have to choose between Romney and Obama. And I don't think that for the Republicans that there's even a consideration there.
Let me put one fly into that ointment, and that is that in the Washington Post polling that was just done last week, your candidate, Mitt Romney's favorables are atrocious. Among voters overall, he has a 31% favorable rating, 49% unfavorable. Among independents, his favorable rating is 23. There are diseases with higher favorable ratings than that. He is seen very, very negatively. The only person seen more negatively in national politics is Newt Gingrich. Is that the way to win, to be slightly less hated than Newt Gingrich? Or do you start to build up a positive image of yourself with the electorate?
Well, it's actually also better than Congress, which, it's probably easy to do. But no, you're right. I mean, eventually, this is a long process. Eventually, we will get into the general election campaign, and the governor is going to have to try to convince more moderate Democrats and independents that he is going to be the one that's going to help create jobs, and he's going to be the one that is going to turn the economy around, help people go to college, help people buy homes, start businesses. That's going to be the litmus test of this election. As my grandfather used to always say, is people vote with their pocketbooks in the end. And the president, Mitt Romney, is eventually going to have to make it a choice between that and contrast himself with the president in that way.
Congressman Rooney, this is Lawrence O'Donnell. Your candidate yesterday finally found a minute to not bomb Newt Gingrich, and he talked about the president finally, and his big complaint about President Obama in Florida is that President Obama, as Mitt Romney put it, cut $500 billion from Medicare to pay for the Obama health care plan. I think you would agree that what those were changes in Medicare spending to make it more efficient, which is something Republicans have voted for in the past. You voted for the Ryan plan, which, as you know, cuts $500 billion from Medicare, another almost $200 billion from Medicaid, which is what supports the elderly in nursing homes in Florida. Mitt Romney supports you on that vote, and he does not propose to restore any of the $500 billion that he says President Obama cut from Medicare. So what is Mitt Romney's objection to how President Obama has handled the custodianship of Medicare?
Well, I think that the key here is if you look at what Mitt Romney has said and you look at what we've done and what Paul Ryan has proposed in the House, as opposed to what the president has proposed with Obamacare. In Massachusetts, Mitt Romney said, hey, look, we've got this percentage of the population that it does not have insurance, cannot get insurance, and it's a part of the population that is truly indigent and truly needy, and we have to help them. We've talked about that in the House. And in fact, if we go back to the last Congress when I was a freshman, and we talk about, okay, we do need to do something about health care in America for those people that are truly poor. What happened with the president when he included everybody in this plan, rather than looking at what we can do to drive down the cost of health care for those that are just truly indigent, that's when he lost Republicans, and that's why it's such a divisive issue. And so, moving forward, I think what Mitt Romney has said, and I think rightfully so, is that states get to choose what they want to do with health care. And in Massachusetts, what they did is they looked at the people that were truly indigent and truly in need, and they addressed health care for those people, but not throwing everybody, like 92% of the people, into that same pot, which is what Obama did with Obamacare. So I think that it's totally different, and that's going to be the biggest debate of the general election by far. And so, Lawrence, I think that you hit on what the big debate is going to be when Mitt Romney goes against Obama. But I'm looking forward to that debate because there are huge differences.
Congressman Tom Rooney, the honorary co-chairman of Mitt Romney's campaign in Florida. Congratulations to you tonight as a Mitt Romney supporter, with Mr. Romney the projected winner of the Florida Republican primary tonight.